Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear about a forum designed to improve the way Arizonans talk and think about education. Also tonight, a preview of the Phoenix Symphony's upcoming season. And we'll hear about a tribute to a longtime local rock and roll hotspot. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Arizona's jobless rate increased 0.3% in August. It's now at 8.3%, and that's a full point higher than the national unemployment rate. It's also the widest gap between the state and national jobless rates in 2 years. A state economist, though, cautioned against reading too much into 1 month's numbers, especially when factoring in seasonal hiring patterns. The Rodell Foundation of Arizona is an organization charged with helping create a world-class system of public schools in the state. Earlier this week, the Rodell Foundation hosted a forum that included education leaders acting as table hosts to facilitate discussions with business and civic leaders. Those conversations were followed by a panel discussion on education reform. I spoke with Jackie Norton, President and CEO of the Rodell Foundation, about the forum. Jackie, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ted. Thanks.
Let's talk about this. Is a big discussion. There were a lot of folks here on Tuesday. What was it designed to accomplish?
A lot of things. First and foremost, it was designed to be different, not just for the sake of being different, but on our invitation we were rather irreverent and said no more blah, 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 because we recognized that everyone in that room had been to so many convenings, conversations about education. There's plenty of talk, there's not enough action. So part of it was to really drive towards action, but equally important and somewhat novel was to bring intentionally opposing points of view. We think there's great danger in the echo chamber. People go to conversations, they listen to news, they can pick what they want to hear. And so people tend to hear only what they agree with. That doesn't drive compromise, that doesn't give us any traction. So we intentionally picked a broad spectrum of people who would have different points of view. We wanted the audience to hear that, not to necessarily agree or disagree, but to realize that on these arguments there will not be a uniform sense of what is the right thing, but we still have to make progress.
Do you think progress was made? First, talk about the folks that attended, talk about the folks that were on the panel, and what you heard.
Well, it was a unique convening, and part of our approach to this was to get a stellar panel hosted by you, and I don't mean to just flatter you, but your ability to facilitate that conversation with 6 people who we knew would disagree with each other was part of the draw. Then we recruited 44 what we called table hosts. These were people who have a following in their own right. They represented the education sector, the business sector, the philanthropic sector, and the government sector. We wanted the panel to be diverse, and we wanted each table to be diverse. So we paired up table hosts who had different backgrounds, who could bring out interesting points of view. Then at each table, the guests were, again, across sector. Again, we were lucky to have as many people be willing to come as did. So at every table, you would have an interesting mix. You would have a young person who has children just starting school. You would have a grandparent, perhaps. You would have someone who'd spent their life in education, somebody who didn't know where their neighborhood school was. And we think that led, and our audience feedback has been that it was fun, which wasn't an intentional goal, but if you can have fun while airing divergent views, all the better.
Talk about recurring themes, talk about any solutions or any compromises you saw perhaps forged or at least got people thinking about as they left the discussion.
Again, based on the feedback we've gotten so far, people thought it was a refreshing way to address this. What the next steps are always the big question. We are not so immodest to think that we can lead a solution to all that ails Arizona's education system. But we do think getting that diverse group of people, all of whom are key to solutions, to be willing to share their views and for an audience to accept all of those different views. How we turn that into progress is yet to be determined. We didn't have an outcome when we started this, because if you convene around an outcome, you by definition limit the debate. We didn't want to do that.
I mentioned recurring themes because I noticed that teachers, all aspects of teachers, who they are, how they become teachers, should others become teachers, how they're compensated, how they're considered in society, took up a major part of the early part of the discussion. Surprise you at all?
No, but I was very happy to hear that, because at the end of the day, as I've looked at the research and the writing and the controversy around education, the one thing that everyone tends to agree on, whether you're a fan of charter schools, district schools, whether you're working in poverty districts or affluent districts, no matter what your point of view, whether you're a homeschooler, everyone agrees the key to student success is in large part in the hands of a teacher. So I liked seeing that coalescence around teaching. Now, what does that mean? Has yet to be determined. But no, that didn't surprise me, but I was happy that it surfaced, and I was happy we got the range of views on how do we improve teachers. Because as you heard, not everyone said it was just pay them more.
Right. And so we did have a lot of ideas, a lot of suggestions, a lot of conversation talking points. How do you want to see some of these ideas and perhaps a solution or two facilitated? I know one panelist said this is all great, but lawmakers, you got to be back on the, you got to pay attention, I think she said. You know, you have an attention problem here. This was a great forum, a great discussion, great conversation, but again, how do you make the discussion turn into action?
Well, we won't do it single-handedly. What I think we will do is really think through what should the focus be. Should it be about focusing on better teachers and more of them? And because certainly the Rodel Foundation can't do everything, and no foundation can, and no program can. So prioritizing what is the most important thing to focus on, what will have the broadest reach, is probably where we will start. And then, of course, our first step will be who are the logical partners, who's willing to work on this with us. And then from there, perhaps try and build a model around that where we get all, you know, the number of organizations, groups, businesses who are working on teacher improvement and teacher quality, we haven't even begun to identify. If we got all of those people not doing everything together, but really coalescing, it would be powerful.
I want to ask you a question that I asked the panelists. There's a closing question, and that is, what does Arizona need to be considered an education leader? So that people all around the country go, Arizona, oh yeah, they have good schools. They concentrate on education. What does the state need?
Well, I think a good start would be part of what we did this morning, where you show that the community collectively really is concerned about this. I was so gratified because, as you know, Massachusetts came up as an example of success. And Dean Kerner from ASU said, I've spent time in Massachusetts. Yes, they do well, but you would never get a group like this in Massachusetts. You would never get the community, a broad cross-section of the community, to show up and agree that this is an important issue. Not only that it's important, but they're willing to work on it. So I think the first step for Arizona is to look at what we have going for us, and that is a group of concerned citizens who are willing to work on this.
All right. Well, I thought it was a very encouraging event and certainly an enlightening discussion. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of it, and congratulations.
Thank you, Ted.
The Phoenix Symphony's new season kicks off this month. It will include visits by movie maker Steven Spielberg and composer John Williams. Phoenix Symphony President and CEO Jim Ward joins us now to talk about this upcoming season. It's good to see you again. The title is Big Names, Big Music. You got some pretty big names in here.
We do. We've got a wonderful season, Ted, and it is big names and big music, and you can't get any bigger than John Williams and Steven Spielberg.
Talk about what they're going to do here and how did they get here?
Well, I'll tell you, in my previous lives, I spent over a decade working with George Lucas at Lucasfilm, and I was fortunate to meet a lot of great people, including John Williams and Steven Spielberg. And when I took over the symphony, one of the goals I made was to somehow get John to come to Phoenix, and I knew Michael Gorfain, his agent, and just over a couple of years of drip feed to make that happen, it happened. And not only do we have John, but we have Steven coming as well, doing a benefit concert for the Phoenix Symphony for our education outreach. So all of their services are for free, and they're coming and donating all of the dollars to the Phoenix Symphony.
Now, Williams will conduct music used in Spielberg films. Is that how it works?
Well, the first half of the show, John's going to come out and conduct non-Spielbergian music, like my alma mater, Star Wars. And then in the second half, Steven will come out and basically conduct a master class in filmmaking and scoring. He's going to sit on a stool and he's going to talk to the audience, and we'll play different scores from his music. But not only that, he'll talk about his collaboration with John, and we'll also have a giant screen where we're going to watch scenes from his movies, from Raiders of the Lost Ark, for example, when Harrison Ford's riding a horse and chasing the Nazis. And we're going to play that without the music. Steven will talk about what he thought the music should be for that, and then we'll play the scene with music, and people will have the opportunity to see how that scene comes to life with music.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. Are they touring behind this? Are they just making a couple of stops here and there?
No, we're very special. They've done this at the Kennedy Center. They've done this once in Atlanta, but it's a special event for us. As you know, Steven is from here originally, went to Arcadia High School, so
Indeed.
It's somewhat of a homecoming for him. But we're very lucky to have both John and Steven come and benefit the Phoenix Symphony and our community.
That sounds like great stuff. And again, big names, big music. A lot of pops in here as well. I'm seeing, Audra McDonald doing show tunes, a Tony winner doing show tunes?
Absolutely. We have a great pop season lined up. We've actually increased our pop season by a couple of concerts due to popular demand. And we're bringing in Audra McDonald, Mary Chapin Carpenter, the Indigo Girls. We just have a great season in pops as well.
For those subscribers or those who go to the symphony and they're expecting to hear Beethoven and Bach and they did, this pop stuff, they're not all that crazy, but how do you explain that the cast of the Jersey Boys singing the Beatles and the Beach Boys is not such a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing at all. We were bringing in a group called the Midtown Men, which were the original Jersey Boys, to come in and rock the stage with 60s music. And we have a wonderful women's luncheon that day as well called Savor the Symphony that we do annually. And it's a great fun time. But, we have different audiences, too. We have people that love classic concerts, and that's the music they like, and they buy subscriptions and single tickets. And we have people that buy pops concerts, and sometimes they overlap, but people like different kinds of music, and we have that. We even have family programming, and for families as well. It's an entirely different series.
I noticed that Mary Chapin Carpenter, she will be here. She's a pop artist, obviously, but backed by an orchestra.
That's right.
So a little bit of both there.
That's right. And that's a trend now with a lot of artists. It's quite an honor to do solo or with their band, but it's also wonderful for them to sit in front of a 70-piece symphonic orchestra playing lush, beautiful music in their music. It's a different experience for them, and a lot of them are doing it. In fact, last season we brought in Idina Menzel, for example, and sold that out, but had a wonderful experience that way.
How far do you veer from the War Horses, the classics, the Beethovens? Obviously, you're opening up with Beethoven's Ninth, correct?
Yes, this weekend is our opening weekend. And it's with just the masterful and joyous Beethoven's Ninth with our Phoenix Symphony Choir, 140 members of the choir on the stage, 70 members of the symphony on the stage, soloists. It's fantastic and amazing. And it's it ends with the Ode to Joy, which everyone's familiar with. But we also have concerts that pair these more well-known pieces with pieces that people might not be as familiar with, but they're going to be exposed to them. And we often hear, more often than not, that it's the pieces that they hadn't heard before that they enjoy the most because it's a new experience.
And you're going to have, in the classical world, a superstar in Long Long here, correct?
We are. Long Long, who I kind of call the Elton John of the classical piano world. He's a young, dynamic, amazing young Chinese performer who's just taken the world by storm. He wears tennis shoes when he plays, but amazing facility, technique, emotion, and we're bringing him in, and it's going to be a fantastic concert.
Early response from patrons so far to a relatively diverse schedule. What are you hearing?
Well, listen, clearly we're almost sold out on opening night, so that's going to be happening tomorrow. So if people want to come down, there's still some tickets left, but get on the phones or go to our website, phoenixsymphony.org. Clearly, Spielberg Williams is sold out. But there's a long season all the way through May and June of next year that people can still get subscriptions and single tickets to, and we urge them to do that. And Ted, by the way, a subscription you can get for just 3 concerts is all the benefits of a subscriber. So it's not that hard to become a subscriber to the Phoenix Symphony.
Let's talk about how the Symphony is holding up in terms of finances. How's it going? It's rough times here of late. We've had you on previous years, and things, a little rocky ship there. What are you seeing?
Well, we absolutely, and we've had a great team down at the Symphony, our board, and the community rally behind the Symphony. And over the past almost 3 years, we've been able to take it from a deficit situation to where we've just closed our books at the end of this past fiscal year, and we're in a surplus situation. We've paid down all of our debt and have increased capacity utilization of our concerts by over 50%. And so we have stabilized the organization, and we have been used as a benchmark for the entire country in terms of a turnaround and with our labor management relations with our musicians. And if you look across the country, many orchestras are on strikes or walkouts. We have a great relationship with our musicians because they have truly sacrificed for this community.
And I remember when that relationship wasn't always so great. How did that turn around? Are you turning it around with the same bunch of folks? Has there been turnover? What's going on there?
No, it's the same folks. It's as in any relationship. It's about communication. It's about open and honest and transparent dialogue. It's sharing the financials so everyone understands what's at stake, and then working together to solve the problems. And we have brilliant musicians that aren't just great as musicians, but have been with the symphony for 30 years and understand how it works inside and out. And so I've learned a lot from our musicians in how to solve these problems, and working with them together rather than an us versus them situation completely has transformed this symphony in the way that we operate.
Last question. In a social media world, in a world that's changing all the time in terms of what people don't even go to sporting events like they used to. They're not going here, they're not going there, they're going to. How do you adjust? How do you manage this?
Well, there's nothing really that can replace the magic of a live performance. There are ways that people can digest entertainment on the internet and things like that. No doubt about it. But it doesn't replace a live performance. And we're finding that our patrons, by the fact that we're selling out, want to experience these kinds of activities live and see these kinds of people. It's one thing to watch John Williams and Steven Spielberg on TV, but rarely do you get an up-close and personal experience with them live. And so to the degree that we can create entertaining programming and create the magic around a live performance, I think it's very worthwhile for people to get involved.
All right. Good to have you. Good to see you again.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
For more than 2 decades, the Mason Jar was a fixture of Phoenix's music scene. By the time the Mason Jar closed in 2005, it had welcomed thousands of performers, including one musician who refuses to let the past go. Producer Christina Estes and photographer Ed Kishel show us how that musician's passion for the Mason Jar is leading to an encore of sorts.
The sign along Indian School Road reads The Anvil. But for Glenn Crimson, it'll forever be his version of Cheers.
A lot of us were big fishes in a little pond.
He and the other fish are diving back in for one special night called Legends of the Mason Jar.
And this building, only holds a couple hundred people, but when it was packed in here, you just felt great.
Crimson's band, The Spiffs, played the Mason Jar when it opened in 1979, and he kept playing with his second band, The Urge.
In Phoenix, if you're a musician, you're pretty much forced to play cover songs. You had to play cover tunes. You had to play My Girl and Brown Eyed Girl and Brick House, just like the record, Well, us musicians want to play originals. This was the only place to do it.
The Mason Jar was around when, 80s, before a lot of bands became big. So when they were doing their first tours, they would come through and they'd play this place.
Promoter Danny Zelisko booked some of the acts and hung out there with others.
I remember being in the place with Bon Jovi. He didn't play, but we went to see somebody there. And I remember being in there one night with Tommy Lee. It was the dump you go to go have a drink and check out the scene and see what's going on.
Nearly a quarter century later, Crimson still gets excited over the time the producer of The Cars showed up.
The Cars is the biggest band right then, and the stage was right over there, and he was sitting right there. And this girl that's with him goes, "Hey, Roy would like you to play an original if you could." So we started playing an original. He walked out halfway through the song. Awesome, man.
Local acts like the Jetsons, Blue Shoes, and Schoolboys performed on the same stage as Megadeth, No Doubt, and Nirvana. Zelisko described the Mason Jar as a hole in the wall, but he means it in the nicest way.
It's kind of like when people think of Wrigley Field. Everybody loves Wrigley Field. Any baseball player that goes in there who is now used to Camden Yards and Diamondbacks Park, they have these luxurious, giant dressing rooms and lounge chairs and sauna baths. Wrigley Field's got nothing. It's a hole, right? But it's my favorite park in the world.
It's that sentiment that drew Crimson back.
I have certainly played in this building more than any human alive.
And he's ready to do it again. That's why he hit up bartender Kyle McDonald with the idea of an 80s rock band reunion.
I referred him to the management and said, pitch it to them and see what they say. And he did.
I think they said, well, I've never heard of you. I know the Mason Jar was something in the day, but I don't know anything about it. And so we're not interested. And I left. I almost cried, and I called my guitar player. I'm getting teary-eyed. So this building has a lot of history with me.
Although he never experienced the Mason Jar, McDonald says seeing people visit and reminisce has made him a fan.
The way that people acted when they came in here, you could just tell. It was their childhood. They were young and they were having fun, and they weren't in a recession and worrying about who was president, and it was about the music and this and that, and I got it.
So he worked with Crimson on a second pitch, and they got the green light.
We're going to play right here in this corner. We're going to set up staging right here in this corner.
As Crimson works with the Anvil to turn back the clock, he's hearing from a lot of older rockers.
I just want to play there one more time. My family wants to see me play there. I've talked to this guy. I remember we used to hate each other back in the day because we were both guitar players or whatever. And now we're just best friends and respect each other, and it's
That's what the concert experience is all about. It's that mass gathering of humanity, whether it's 100 people or 10,000 people. Everybody getting together and enjoying something in the same room at the same time is what it's all about.
By your side. Your side. So whatever it's called, even 20 years from now, it'll still be the jar.
A Mason Jar reunion will take place tomorrow night at the Anvil, the club's old location at 23rd Street and Indian School. We're told that 9 bands will perform, along with a special guest appearance from Franco, the longtime owner of the club. Friday on Arizona Horizon, it's the Journalists Roundtable. The governor extends the state's ban on driver's license for undocumented immigrants, and Arizona's jobless rate jumps to a full percentage point over the national average. That's Friday on the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.